All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are jumping into a story that honestly starts with what looks like straight-up destruction, but it ends with a massive question about what art even is.
So picture this, it's 2012. There's this huge art festival happening in Germany, and an artist collective called the Joblin Factory does something, well, shocking. They go after one of the most famous environmental art pieces on the planet, Joseph Beuys' 7,000 Oaks, and they start spray painting these red dots on the trees. And everyone knows what that means. It's the universal sign that these trees are marked to be cut down. A pretty bold statement, right?
So right away, this brings up the central question we're tackling today. Was this just senseless vandalism? A total attack on a beloved masterpiece? Or was it something else? A new work of art, maybe? Okay, let's get into it.
First things first. To really get what's so provocative here, we need to rewind and understand the original artwork and the incredible artist who created it.
So let's talk about Joseph Beuys. He was, without a doubt, one of the most influential German artists of the 20th century. And for him, art wasn't something you just hang on a wall in a quiet gallery. No way. He believed art could be a real, powerful force for changing society, for changing politics.
And his most famous project? 7,000 Oaks. I mean, this thing was a monumental act of ecological art. Starting back in '82, Beuys and a whole team of volunteers started planting 7,000 trees all over the city of Kassel. And next to every single tree, they placed a tall basalt stone. This whole thing took 5 years, and it completely changed the city's landscape. But here's the key. For Beuys, it wasn't just about planting trees.
He had a name for this idea: social plastic, or social sculpture. And what that means is that the real artwork wasn't the trees or the stones. No, it was the act of planting them. It was the whole process, bringing the community together, physically changing the environment, getting people talking about nature and city life. For Beuys, art was an action that could literally shape the world.
Okay, so if Beuys' big idea was about shaping society, what on earth was the Joblin Factory trying to say by threatening to tear it down? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at how they took his philosophy and gave it a radical twist.
And they actually took their cue from Beuys himself. Late in his life, he said something really profound. He said, "I myself am the work of art at this moment. It should come to the point that the human being himself becomes the work of art."
The Joblin Factory basically took that idea and ran with it, pushing it as far as it could go. Their argument is, look, if Beuys wanted to use art to shape society, we want to use art to shape the individual's mind. And how do you do that? By making them realize that they are the art.
And this is a really important shift in thinking. Beuys' social sculpture, that was all about shaping the world around you through big collective actions. But the Joblin Factory, they're proposing what they call a private sculpture. This is about the internal, personal process of shaping your own thoughts, your own perception, until you have this one big, powerful realization.
It's a really cool idea, right? But it's also super abstract. I mean, how do you actually make someone feel that they're a work of art? How do you make that tangible?
Well, the Joblin Factory came up with a series of objects they call memento multiples. Now, these things aren't supposed to be the final artwork. Think of them more like tools, or maybe triggers, that are designed to spark that aha moment in the person looking at them.
For example, their work with salmon and flesh art, it works on this really specific, almost primal level. The idea is that by putting an object of dead flesh in front of you, the art on the wall, it's supposed to make you super aware of your own living, breathing flesh. And that, they argue, is the real artwork in the room.
And that brings us to their most direct tool of all, just a simple mirror. They'll hand out postcards that are mirrors, they'll put mirrors up in galleries, and the message is impossible to miss. When you look into it, you are looking directly at the masterpiece. You are the art. Now, this whole philosophy, it doesn't just stay inside the gallery with these provocative pieces. It actually extends back out into the world, and it connects art directly with environmental action, which, you'll notice, brings us right back to where we started with Beuys. So, if you follow this logic, affiliates of the Joblin Factory say that doing something like creating an ecological biotope with local students, well, that's a modern form of social sculpture. But wait a minute, how can building a pond be considered a work of art?
Well, it actually fits Beuys' original definition perfectly. See, the artwork isn't the pond itself. It's the whole creative process that shapes society.
It gets other people inspired to do the same thing, it gets the community directly involved in making it, and it's all about creating positive change by helping people connect with nature.
Okay, so we've got on quite a journey here, from marked trees to social change, all the way to the flesh on our own bones. So what's the big takeaway from all of this?
Well, the Joblin Factory's argument leads to this really provocative conclusion. Just by existing, you as a human being are a work of art. You don't have to do anything to earn that title. The only choice you really have is whether you recognize it or not.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty challenging question. If we actually accept this idea, it completely reframes how we see ourselves and everyone else. Every single interaction becomes an experience between living sculptures. Every time you glance in the mirror, it's like a little visit to an art gallery. So think about it. The next time you look in the mirror, what kind of artwork are you going to see looking back?